Alright, I'm Kelly Kerstetter, and I am interviewing my grandmother, Mary Ann Reichard. So my first question is, what is your full name and even your maiden name, if applicable?
Mary Ann Reichard.
Okay. And what is your date of birth?
July 25th, 1947.
And what is your place of birth?
Phoenix Springs, Florida.
Okay. What is your ethnicity?
Ethnicity, I'm Slovak on my father's side and Polish on my mother's side.
Okay. And where were your parents, brothers, and sisters born, and include their names?
Well, my mother was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
She was an only child.
Okay.
Although she does have half sisters.
Mm-hmm.
A half sister.
Okay.
And my father was born in Reading, Pennsylvania. No, pardon me, Ford City,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he has two sisters. I'm not sure where they were born.
Okay.
And he also had a half sister.
Okay.
And 5 half brothers. I don't know where they were born. They were born in the United States, I'm sure.
Okay. And then where were your siblings born, and list all their names?
My siblings?
Yeah.
Okay. My oldest sister, Lucille.
Okay.
You need last name on that?
It doesn't. If they're all fake costumes, if you're meeting me, that's fine.
Okay. Lucille, she was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara, she was also born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Elaine was born in Chicago, Illinois. Do I have to list the stillborn brother?
If you want, if you're comfortable.
All right, he would be after I was born.
Okay.
I was born after Barbara.
And that was in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, and then he would have been born in Florida.
Okay.
And he would have been a year and a half younger than me. And then we went back to Chicago, and that's where my sister Elaine was born in Chicago. Then we moved to Toledo. Then my brother Edward was born in Toledo.
Okay.
Actually, Oregon, Ohio at St. Charles Hospital, and the same with my brother Fred.
Okay. And then where were your children born, and include their names?
Okay. My oldest daughter Deborah was born in Mercy Hospital, Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Amy was born in also Mercy Hospital, Toledo, Ohio, and my other daughter Jill, same thing, Mercy Hospital, Toledo, Ohio.
Okay. And then where all have you lived?
Where have I lived?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the places.
Well, obviously, I was born in Phoenix Springs, Florida.
Okay.
Then we moved to Chicago when I was 2.
Okay.
And then in 1952, we moved to Toledo, Ohio.
Okay. And then since then, where all have you lived?
Oh, then when I got married, we lived. When I married my husband Bill, we lived on Carbon Street in East Toledo, and then after we were married 5 years, we moved to Curtis, and we've been here ever since. We moved to Curtis in 1972.
Okay. And then what languages do you speak?
Just English.
Okay. And what is your citizenship?
American.
Okay. And then have you served in the military?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it says where did you live as a child? I know you already listed where you lived, but if you want to maybe go into detail what it was like living where you did when you were a kid, growing up.
Well, I don't remember too much about the Phoenix Springs, Florida.
Okay.
Because we moved when I was 2, but it was my grandpa owned a farm.
Okay.
In Florida. He had 40 acres there, and he farmed it.
Mm-hmm.
We went to live there because my dad decided he wanted to be a farmer for a while. Well, it didn't work out. So he decided he was going to move back to Chicago.
Okay.
And then in Chicago, it was Noble Street. We went to St. Holy Trinity Catholic Church there. It was down the street. We lived there until I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
I just remember not too much about it. We moved over a storefront. We lived over a storefront on the fourth floor.
Okay.
Yep. And we moved to Toledo when I turned 5. Yeah, it was November of 1952.
Okay.
And that was my first experience with being in a house that I remember.
Okay.
Had our own house. I remember when we first moved in, I was afraid to go upstairs because I thought people lived there.
Oh.
Right. And that was my first time I ever saw a telephone.
Oh, wow.
Right. Even though there were telephones back then, but we had a telephone.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first experience with that.
Okay.
And, yeah, that's where we pretty much, I pretty much had our childhood was spent there. And I remember going to Navarre Park, going swimming every day in the summertime. And
yeah,
we had, it was a different time back then, East Toledo back then. We didn't lock our doors. They had corner stores before all the big supermarkets came into play. You had corner stores all over, and also there were bars on practically every corner because everybody went to cash their checks after they got. My dad worked at Liberty Long Sport.
Yeah.
And that wasn't very far from our house on Liberty Street, and so they would go cash their checks and have a few beers and then head home. So, yeah, that's where I grew up. And then when I got married, I was 19. My husband and I moved to Carbon Street. I worked at Osterman Jewelers downtown.
Oh, okay.
It was in the same building as Tidkey's, which is now gone. It's where what is it? Imagination Station is now.
Where Kosai used to be.
Where Kosai used to be.
That's Imagination Station.
That's where Tidkey's used to be. And Osterman Jewelers was in the same building.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm trying to think what else. Okay, so we built this house in Curtis, where we live now, and we moved with my oldest daughter and my second daughter, Amy. We moved here. We were about 5 years married, and we built this house brand new, and we're staying here.
Okay. All right. You already mentioned your brothers and sisters. How many were that total?
Oh, I had 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay, and you already said where they were born, but what memories do you have of each of them from when you were growing up? So feel free to just share like a memory or two of each of them.
Oh, well, I just remember we're closest naturally with my 2 older sisters because we were born practically a year apart, so we were very close in age. So I remember our summers were spent together with the neighborhood kids, Mary Thanasu. We'd run the neighborhood, and I'm trying to think too. Went to my favorite. I guess my favorite memory is always going swimming. We couldn't wait for the pool to open up and go swimming. And of course, we had a few incidents at the pool. Had to get sent home, but yeah. Yeah.
And then what about like your younger siblings? Do you have any memories specifically of them?
Mostly because we were older, we babysat them.
Yeah.
So my brothers were a lot younger than me, so I babysat them. And my sister Elaine, she was kind of the middle child, kind of off on her own because of the difference in age, and then the 2 boys were born after that, so she was kind of left by herself.
How much younger than you were those siblings?
All right, Elaine, okay, she was born in 51. I was born in, 4 years difference.
4 years difference.
All right, and then Ed, 6 years, and Fred, 9.5 years.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a big difference. What music, clothing, and food were popular during your teenage years?
Oh gosh, yeah, my teenage years, it was mostly the late 50s or mid 60s. So the big thing was the Beatles.
Yeah.
They were the big thing. The Beatles and Chubby Checker, the Beach Boys. Kind of think what else. Frankie Avalon, Bobby Rydell, Connie Francis, Annette Funicello, Frankie Avalon. Those were the ones. There was Motown back then. It was the Supremes, the Four Tops. That was your Motown music.
Yeah. Okay. And then what type of clothing was really popular?
Well, we call what you call Jamaica shorts.
Okay.
And they were longer than short shorts. And then in the 50s, because it went from that, in the 50s we wore what you call pedal pushers. They went just below the knee.
Okay.
But then in the 60s we went up to just about 4 inches above your knee, the Jamaica shorts.
Okay.
Yep.
So those types of things.
And that's when I first remembered us wearing denim.
Oh, okay. Like
denim,
jeans?
yeah. It's you wore that, but they weren't cutoffs. They just kind of rolled them up.
Okay. Anything else specifically you remember being really trendy?
Oh yeah, everybody used to hang out at Don's Drive-In here, and Frisch's Big Boy. Yeah. On Woodville Road. That was the route in East Toledo. Then if you wanted to, you go hang out at the White Hut, which is where St. Anne's Hospital is right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to Notre Dame Academy, which is not far from there.
Okay. What kind of food was popular then?
Foods? Yeah, really, they didn't, not too many people. The family, we came from a larger family, so we couldn't afford to eat out. Not many people ate out back then. It was mostly we were Midwestern type of food. My mother was Polish, so we had some kind of Polish food, like what we call gołąbki and pig in the blankets, which we call pierogies, which you had some today. Yeah. Yeah, and basically that's what my mom cooked, just typical stuff.
And just like the example, how much, like back in that time period, did candy, movies, or clothing cost?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, let's see. You can get one of the full-size candy bars for 5 cents.
Wow.
Yep. And you could get we used to walk to Eastwood movie theater, which was about, I would say, a mile from our house, and you could get in for 10 cents to see a movie.
Wow.
And then you could get an ice cream cone for 5 cents.
Wow.
Right. You could ride the bus, which went by our house. That's how we got downtown. Ride the bus, I think it was a nickel back then. And if you had to go all the way across town, you could buy a transfer for a penny. So that would take you, so when I went to high school, I went to Notre Dame Academy. I took it from East Toledo, took the bus to downtown. I bought a transfer and went on the Holland-Sylvania line to Notre Dame Academy.
Wow. Okay. And then clothing-wise, how much did clothing cost? Like, say, a dress or a pair of pants or a blouse?
Well, I remember buying a swimsuit. It was $7 at Petrie's downtown. Okay. Dresses, yeah. If you spent $20 on a dress, you were really going way out. Okay. And it was my prom dress cost $40, which, boy, that was really extravagant.
A lot of money.
Very extravagant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, what always hits me, how makeup has gone up. Used to be, you could buy one eyebrow pencil, and it was longer than we have now, for 25 cents. Now, I don't know, what is it, $4 for 2 in a pack or something like that. Yeah.
More depending
back then, you didn't wear pantyhose, you wore nylons, and you could get 3 pair for 99 cents at Tidkey's.
Oh, wow. How much was minimum wage back then? Say a teenager got a job.
Oh, well, I got a job at St. Vincent's Hospital. That was my first job. I hired in at 75 cents an hour.
Wow.
And you did get a raise once in a while. So I worked there 3 years, and I ended up getting like 90 cents an hour. And then I went full-time and got $1 an hour.
Okay. And then what did one do for entertainment back then? Like maybe hobbies, sports, things of that type?
Well, I do know in the summertime Everybody would go hang out at the quarries, Clearwater Quarry, go swimming there, or Centennial Quarry, or Salisbury Quarry. That's where a lot of the kids hung out. Or there was lakes. People went to lakes like Devil's Lake. That was a big place to hang out back then. I worked most of the time. I worked full time in the summertime, so a lot of my time was spent working. And dates on the weekends.
What was a typical date like back then?
Back then was like a movie, and then you go for a pizza or something like that. Or you would go to a hockey game, or if something was going on at the sports arena, you would go that, and then you go to the big place to go see a movie, and everybody dressed up on Saturday. You wore heels and a dress to go to the cinema. And a lot of the movies were like, I remember James Bond movies, kind of stuff like that.
I know that you and Grandpa both have mentioned something like cruising before. Like, what is that exactly?
Cruising, that's what you do. Everybody just goes. It was to be seen. And see and be seen. And you would get in their car, and basically you'd hang out at Don's for a while and sit there and sip your Coke. And, they had the car hops come. They delivered at your car. And then you'd sit there a while and talk to other people. And then you take off, and then you go to Frisch's. And then you see who's there and who's dating who and who broke up with who. And, so you just hung out there, and then a lot of times, Grandpa, not when he was with me, but a lot of times they'd hook up and they'd go and do a drag race on some of the streets. I know it was like 579. Genoa Clay Center was the popular place to drag race back then. It was all really rural back then. So that's what Grandpa liked to do.
And then what jobs have you had throughout your life?
Well, my first job was as a diet aide at St. Vincent's Hospital. And then I worked in the credit department at Osterman Jewelers for 3 years until I got pregnant with Debbie. And of course, I quit my job to raise the kids. And then after the third child was born, Jill, when she got to school, when she was about 4th or 5th grade, then I became a real estate agent. I sold real estate for Brogan Realty, which is gone. That was the top agency at the time. So I did that for about 6 years, and then I became a personal assistant for one of the agents. And then after about 9 years doing that, I worked for Seagate Transportation. I was the log auditor. I audited logs for the truck drivers. So.
Alright. Did you have a choice in your career path?
Well, obviously there wasn't too many choices back then. I went to Notre Dame, and a lot of the girls, they either took business courses, or they took science courses to become nurses. Trying to think what other your options were back then. Obviously, a lot of them. We had a lot of girls. They really had careers. Went to colleges back then. Most of them, a lot of them from Notre Dame did go to college. And so they branched out. A lot of them did, but there were, I would say, I don't know, I can't really say how many, but a lot of them got married right after high school. We weren't allowed to, even at Notre Dame, they were pretty strict. You weren't even allowed to wear your boyfriend's class ring. They would make you take it off.
So could they not wear an engagement ring?
No, absolutely not. You could not wear an engagement ring. And one girl, she was senior in high school, she got married in April because of the Vietnam War. She married him before he left, and they made her leave school.
Like it was against the rules to be married in
high
school?
Right.
Wow.
That was very strict. Yeah, very strict.
So was that just that particular high school, or do you think all high schools?
That was my experience. No, that wasn't all high schools. No.
Was this because it was like an all-girls
This was an all-girls school. Yeah.
Okay. And then as far as like the career choices you did make, like what influenced
it? Went blank. I don't know when it went blank.
Oh, we're good. It was just a screensaver.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No big deal. Okay, yeah, back to my question. As far as like career choices that you have made, like what influenced you to like choose the jobs that you did choose?
Well, I figured I was probably not going to be afford to go to college.
Yeah.
I did go to Stassenberger's for business courses and things like that, and that interested me.
That's cool.
And so that's why it was the easiest path for me to go to at that time.
Okay. And then what got you into real estate?
Well, actually, it was your grandfather's idea for me to do that because he figured I could do that and still make my own hours.
Okay.
And show houses, schedule things around the kids.
Okay. Did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, I did. I really did like doing that. It's very can be very stressful at times, but it was. I like doing that. I love showing houses, especially to young couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, their first time buying a house, they get all excited, and I get all excited,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then moving on to like some more open-ended questions. Did you have any dangerous and/or life-threatening experiences? And if so, what happened? And it's okay if you need time to think.
Oh, I just know I was known as the firebug in my family. I guess. So the most dangerous thing I remember I used to go down in the basement and sit by the hot water tank and start fires.
Oh wow!
Right, and I remember. Well, you'd sit there, roll up the newspapers and start the fire. Start the fire, blow it out. And I remember my dad came down and caught me. And he warned me. And he told me, "Don't you ever do that again." Well, I got away with it. Didn't stop me, and I got away with it a few more times. And the next time he caught me, I got the worst spanking in my life and never did it again.
I bet.
Yep.
Yeah, could have that like blown up the house, or like what could have happened?
Oh yeah, there's a gas hot water heater. I probably scared him half to death too.
Oh, I bet. Okay. Can you think of anything else like that sticks out?
I do remember my sister and I. No, we used to go riding around. A bunch of girls used to go riding around, and we would cruise. Yeah. Looking for guys. And that's how I met your grandpa.
Oh, that's right.
At Don's Drive. But I remember one time these guys followed us out of Don's one time, and I think I was with two of my sisters and maybe a couple girlfriends, and they started chasing us, and we were going down East Broadway at a very high rate of speed, and I remember Aunt Lucy almost lost control of the car.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was scary.
That is true. Okay. Moving on. What wars did you experience directly or indirectly, and what was your experience with that like?
Well, obviously the big war was Vietnam.
Okay.
And I didn't really have much because I didn't date anybody that was in the service. And I'm trying to think. I just know a lot of the guys. They at 18 they were served papers to go into the army, and a lot of girls I knew dated people in the service, and that was the big thing back then. Yeah. Some of the boys didn't come back, and it was a very unpopular war. And I just remember he showing on the news kids coming back. And they were spit on.
That's terrible. Did you see like a lot of the protesting that happened?
In colleges. Yeah, the big thing in 1970 was in Penn State where they shot the students. Wow. Yeah, but they were protesting against the war, and I guess that was your grandpa's brother, Uncle Bob, was in the National Guard at the time he was sent there.
Oh wow.
During that, and his take on it was, the kids were being rebellious and shouting and cursing at them and swearing at the soldiers, and so there's two sides of that story there.
Yeah.
Um,
So it was pretty common, you can think, for younger people who were protesting the war to like not have respect for soldiers.
Back then, no.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of them were draft dodgers. They went to Canada to avoid the draft.
Wow.
Because they didn't believe we should have been there. They felt that we weren't wanted there, which is about the same almost right now how we feel.
Yeah.
Only the soldiers now get at least they're thanked for their services, not them.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you feel like the time of the war was like a scarier time, like in the country? Like, do you feel like it affected things that way at all?
Well, I think in the 50s, I remember being affected by. We would have these bomb alerts where you would have to get under your desk and everything. In the 50s, that was right after World War II. I think it was like
Cold War.
Yeah. Kind of, because it was in the 50s, because they were always afraid that they were going to bomb the refineries here in Toledo, and so they didn't make you get under the desk with the, for alert you, the sirens would go off. In the Vietnam War, I just remember Annie Lane, my sister, she had a friend that her husband was killed in Vietnam. Some of them, they say they're still missing.
Yeah. That is so sad. What have you liked best about your life so far? And what would you say is like your happiest or proudest moment?
My happiest and proudest moment? There's a lot of them.
Yeah. So maybe just highlights in your life that you think are really great things about your life.
Getting married, having my children, and thinking I could never love anybody as much as I love my kids. Then I had my grandkids. And that's the highlight of my life.
Yeah. Are there times in your life that you remember more vividly than others? And if so, why?
Oh, sure. I think the ones that stick out mostly are the ones when you're younger, because you're more, impressionable.
That's true.
So you do remember things that happened to you and the way you feel more strongly than you did than I do even like 4 or 5 years ago. You remember more when you're younger.
Yeah, more memory storage. Yeah. Okay. And then what have you held on to that's important, and why is it important? Like, what types of things have you carried with you through your life, would you say?
Oh, well, you hold on to your religious beliefs.
Yeah.
You hold on to them, and there's certain things you keep as keepsakes, always keepsakes.
Yeah.
I held on to, the teeth that fell out of your kids' mouths, and little locks of hair, and they're all on your children, really. I think basically that's what you hang on to. Yeah. Family things.
Yeah, that's important. Okay. And then, based on how you feel and what you do you consider yourself young for your age, old for your age, or about average?
Well, Grandpa says I need to act my age. So I feel I'm young for my age.
Young for age. Okay. And then, please describe your reasoning for that. Like, what kind of things do you do things that make you young for your age?
Well, you stay active. I like to walk. I like to hike. I like to bike ride. I like to kayak. I love yoga, and staying active makes me younger.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. And then my last question is, as you have aged and gotten into your 60s and beyond, have you ever felt any sort of discrimination as an elderly person, or even just different sort of treatment since then?
Oh, that's true. You do. It makes me, it annoys me when hairdresser calls you honey or sweetie, and even Grandpa gets that. And I think because we're smaller people, if you're shorter, they tend to think you're a little more delicate.
Okay.
So that does annoy me. You do get treated differently. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then, are there any remaining sort of words of wisdom you would want to give? Something that you would advise like a younger person, like just starting out like their own life, like things that you think are important, maybe that you learned either the hard way or like you learned from experience?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. It went blank again.
Oh, it'll be okay. It's just a
Okay.
screensaver.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you're doing pretty well, Kelly, with your life. You're planning it out the way you want to, and you're focusing. You know, I always have a dream. I always have a goal, and always work towards that goal and never give up. And happiness is not always money. It's how you treat other people, and you treat people like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And if you ever get down and depressed, do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
It always lifts you up.
That's really good advice.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly.
I'm quite an embarrassing now.